And a very pleasant good evening and welcome to RIdgecrest Talk. And our theme always when I'm here is community sports. And tonight we have some great guests. We have Shay Scott, who's been here before. She played collegiately in softball. We're going to hear from her about that. And this is Brooks Scott, who has been a star football player in the IWV, also a star baseball player. He has played club baseball and will be going to the high school next year where he will be a mainstay for both the football program and the baseball program. Well, Brooks, let's talk about the season as far as the playoff games went. Tell us about the last couple games. What happened?
Well, the last playoff game, we came off right off the bat and scored pretty early, and it was looking pretty good. We kind of first half it was 6-6 throughout the entire half, and then the second half they scored, we scored, and then they scored twice. So I mean, it was
back and forth.
Brutal, yeah, but it was a good game. Very good game.
Now, as far as the season goes, who are some of the better teams as far as the older? Because you're in the oldest team in the IWV. Who are some of the other good teams you played?
The two best were probably Barstow and Snowline.
Okay, and going to Snowline must have been fun. Probably the night after the varsity boys here at Burroughs played against a very good Serrano team.
Yeah.
So you made that trip again. But you also opened up, I think, with Barstow. Am I correct?
Yeah.
And that was a pretty close game.
That was a good game. We only lost by a touchdown.
Now, I know in the summer, both of you and Dad, you travel along with your brother Chase, play some baseball leagues, and you travel over to Bakersfield. Shay, tell us about the leagues they're in and you know, what kind of experience is that?
This past year, both boys did the IWV Pony Baseball League here in town. And then fortunate for both of them to make the all-star team. Brooks's pony team went, I guess, further than any IWV pony team has gone in the history of the IWV. And they made it to, I believe, Super Regionals in Long Beach. And it was a great experience, good bunch of kids and families. A little bit hard because you only go on if you win. So, and depending on and usually they take the top two teams, depending on if you're the first place team or the second place team, that determines what tournament you go to next. So you could be in Long Beach or Simi Valley, you know, so it's hard to prepare for that. And I think, you know, I love the smallness of Ridgecrest, but the one downside is the travel for the kids' sports, you know. And Chase this past fall did fall ball, sort of a travel thing where they did a Bakersfield league. They played every other Sunday. Vic Ireland was the head coach, and it was a good experience, I think, for their 8 to 10-year-olds. I think they learned a lot and they got a lot better, so it was a really good experience.
Now, there's also a young daughter at home named Finley. You do a great job, Brooks, protecting Finley when we're walking around, or she does a great job protecting you. I don't know which one is that, but
Probably protecting me.
now she's a soccer player. You know, tell us
She
about
is.
the league she's been in.
The IWV recently, we were fortunate enough to meet Howard and Jenica Gamble, and they were big in starting more of a travel soccer organization. We met them through the Ridgecrest City Leagues. And so she did the City League and played for Howard, phenomenal coach, great with the little kids. And then we went straight over to the IWV thing, and she did fall. She ended up playing one tournament, her first kind of big tournament, and she really enjoyed it. So she's young, and you know, we kind of like them to not play year-round things and just kind of try different things, and you know, like we talked about before. So this was her first tournament, and it's kind of fun.
Okay, we're going to take our first break. We'll come back. We're going to talk more football with Brooks and get his opinion of some professional teams and see who his favorite is there. Don't go away. This is RIdgecrest Talk right here on KZGN. And we are back. If you just tuned in, RIdgecrest Talk, I'm Tom Heck, along with the Scott family, or part of them. Brooks Scott, a star over at Murray Middle School, and his mother Shay, who was quite an athlete herself in her collegiate and high school days. And Shay, we've had you on before, but tell us a little bit about your collegiate career in softball.
I got a full ride scholarship to Middle Tennessee State and started as a freshman and ended up getting injured. But then I was a pitcher. We had 2 pitchers go down hurt and only had one, and I became a pitcher my freshman year, which was an interesting development. We were not very good, my freshman and sophomore years especially. However, we ended up winning our conference my senior year, which was a lot of fun. Made it to regionals at we went and played at the University of Arizona against Arizona.
Oh boy, that'd be fun.
Jenny Finch was there at the
Oh,
time.
boy.
It was a neat experience. Didn't fare so well against Arizona, but it was a neat experience to say the least.
Wow. She pitches. Now, the fastest pitchers in softball, what would your guess be as far as?
Probably low 70s, 70 miles an hour plus. I mean, I think there's been a few that maybe have touched 75. Arizona actually had Nancy, I can't think of her last name. She's actually an assistant coach right now for Arizona, but she was touching low to mid 70s, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure how fast the fastest, but if you're hitting 70, you're bringing it, because they're only 43 feet away.
Right,
so.
and that's true. And I remember they had another gal back. This would have been the early to mid 90s, named Susan Parra, who actually was a pitching coach at Cal State Fullerton later for softball. But at that time, if you Googled her, she was quite a pitcher on 2 of their championship teams for Michael Cadera, I believe, over there, the coach in Tucson at the University of Arizona. Well, Brooks, let's go to football here real quick. I know you're doing some training already for football, but as far as professional football and teams you like to follow, what might be your favorite team?
I'm saying, I don't really know anymore, but I'm saying probably Steelers, because I really like Troy Polamalu, but he's not really with them anymore. But I'm not a big statistics guy. I'm just kind of watch the games.
Now, what about college football? Do you have time to follow that at all?
Oregon.
The Oregon Ducks.
Oregon Ducks.
Right, and the Oregon had a big win last weekend
Stanford,
against a very good, well, they beat Stanford, but they also, took over and beat USC up in Eugene just a few weeks ago when this airs. But, well, Shay, I did ask you about football. As far as injuries go, is that one thing that concerns you about, having kids play football?
Not really. I mean, I know there's a lot of hype right now about concussions, especially. To me, there's more concussions falling off kids' bikes. I mean, you can bubble wrap your kids. It's not that I'd like to, I don't care if they get hurt, but there's balance to everything. And, I mean, you can, like I said, you can bubble wrap them and keep them inside. Still, it's not going to guarantee they won't get hurt. And, to me, that's part of what, especially he loves, is doing football and baseball. And, to me, that's part of him. And we hope to keep him as strong and as fit and as healthy as possible, and with good coaching and guidance and prayer that he will be safe. And we've been pretty fortunate in his career, although he did suffer a concussion this year. But other than that, he's been pretty safe and healthy. A few black eyes, from baseball's taking bad hops, but
Wow,
those are the best.
Yeah.
Well, got to ask you this. Let's just pretend next year, and Troy Mather, or Todd Mather, the head coach over at Burroughs, they just ended up, very good season a few weeks ago. They ended up with a tough loss over in La Quinta. But if he came to you, say at the start of the school year next year or in the summer when they start football, and said, "Where is your heart, young man?" I know I have a good idea where his heart is for you as far as where you might be playing in the next 4 years, but at least on one side of the ball. But what would your heart say as far as where do you really want to play? Because you're of age now. You've played for several years. You have a lot of experience. So it's not like you're walking into high school first time you've put on gear to play tackle football. You've done that for a good chunk of time. What would your answer probably be?
It'd be Honestly, it'd be whatever they need me to play. But if they ask me where I really want to play, I'd say quarterback.
Okay.
As I really want to play.
That's in your heart more so than maybe a running back or a wide receiver.
Yeah. Offensive side, definitely linebacker, but no. Offensive side, definitely quarterback, but
Right.
defensive side, I'd definitely rather play middle linebacker.
Now, as far as being a quarterback, how far can you throw a football right now, do you think?
Oh, no. I haven't really done that for a while.
Okay.
I'm really measured.
Now, what about your little brother? Do you work out with him very much, or do you have? I understand that one of your virtues is just great patience, right, Mom? Well, I know you work with your dad some, and most kids that come up as freshmen have a harder time hitting a breaking ball or a moving baseball because they're so used to hitting just flat fastballs that you'll do in the batting cage over and over. They might be fortunate and get a taste of a couple of breaking pitches or curveballs, but not a ton of them. What's your experience right now with pitches that aren't so straight?
My travel league, the Sidewinders, coached by Sergio Hernandez, that gave me a lot of experience with because we played some pretty good teams with some pretty nice stuff, so that gave me some exposure to.
So a moving baseball doesn't really bother you all that much?
No, I mean it still does. Obviously, it's a lot harder to hit than straight fastballs, but I've gotten a little more used to it.
Mm-hmm. Well, your father was a star at University of Memphis, and I know he'll probably be working with you, and that's a great asset to have. And I understand it was because of maybe your dad that your mother had a pretty good batting average also. Is that true? Were you dad about one?
He likes to take credit for that. Actually, we met my senior year of college, so before my senior year, and he's a great husband and father. I mean, he's super patient, and he has a wealth of knowledge. It's one of those things where just when I think I'm catching up to him, something new, and I'm like, geez, I have no idea. So he's like an encyclopedia, especially with baseball. I mean, it is.
Just in time to salvage your batting average and get you over that 200 spot.
Get me over the hump, yeah.
All right, we're going to take our second break. When we come back, we'll have more from Shay Scott and Brooke Scott after this timeout. This is our show for sports community. If you just tuned in, come back after this break. This is RIdgecrest Talk right here on KZGN. And we're back. Welcome if you just tuned in. This is RIdgecrest Talk right here on KZGN. I'm Tom Heck. I'm with the Scott family, and we're part of them. This is Brooks Scott along with his mother Shay, and Shay has a very good athletic background, and Brooks is an up-and-coming star in several sports, baseball and football. And you know what? Is it hard to keep your grades up and do everything? A lot of kids are saying, you know what? It's getting real demanding when you're trying to play even one sport. Try to keep up good grades and try to do extracurricular things. This time of year, schools have dances. It's getting to be that Christmas season. A lot of extracurricular stuff. And I know I didn't want to be the one to bear this to you, but your parents have decided you will not date until you're 25, by the way. So,
I didn't know that.
but as far as juggling everything, and I know your mom is a very disciplinarian, I'm sure, when it comes to making sure your homework's done, but how do you manage all that?
It's not that bad. I mean, especially when my younger brothers just started doing sports, it gets a little hectic, but honestly, it's not that challenging. You just need to, I manage it decently.
Do you ever have to, maybe do extra things at school just to get things done, knowing you have to practice that night?
Yeah, at school, I mean, at lunch and stuff, I do homework and other things just to lighten it up a little bit after school.
Now, is there a certain area, I know it's young, I know it's early when you're only going to be a freshman in high school, but is there an area you think you'd want to maybe study, center on?
No, I don't know, really. I mean, I really like history and I really like math, so I mean, probably those two things.
Well, that's an asset that you like math. Isn't that a great asset, Mother, that he likes math? Because that's a subject that a lot of people struggle with and are afraid of. So I think if you conquer it young, like I didn't, I think you'll probably be successful in that way. Well, let's switch to baseball real quick here and talk about some of your favorite baseball teams. I really haven't got much into that, and I know that you take one sport at a time, and right now it's kind of in between for you because you just finished football, and I know you're going to have some baseball this spring, and I know you're working out, with your dad and everything. But the World Series this year, that was enjoyable. Were you happy that Kansas City did as well as they did, or
I did. I enjoy watching Royals win.
Mm-hmm. And who was some of your favorite players maybe in professional baseball?
Favorite players probably Posey because I'm catcher.
Yeah.
My heart, so I'm really liking Posey. I mean, it was Jeter, obviously, because my favorite team's the Yankees.
Is it really?
It is.
Wow. How did that happen?
My dad.
Oh, really?
Grew up in New York,
and so
New
that's
Jersey.
the Bronx Bombers.
Yeah.
Huh? Well, Shay, as far as his travel and everything, is there a position in baseball that you would like to see him try to master?
These last 2 years, he's played a lot of catcher, and his dad was a catcher, and he seems to. I say they both have the same screw loose because most people don't willingly throw themselves in front of a moving baseball, But he really seems to enjoy that, But again, I think he's young and it's hard. He has a very strong arm. Like to see him if he continues with catching, and probably anywhere, any position. We purposely have not drilled him and you've got to hit and you've got to do this all the time. But it's starting to get that time, where if this is what he wants, if he wants to be a college baseball or football athlete, that, it's going to be a lot of his own work. It's going to be hitting in the cages and throwing and, learning and refining his skills. And just kind of going from that, we are very proud of him. He is a hard worker, and he's very coachable, so we're very proud of him for that. It's just been neat to see him growing up and kind of taking the reins of his dreams and where he wants to end up, because our philosophy is but with our kids is that we would like to give them a good foundation and then for them to take off. And it's not our dreams, it's not our desires, it's, we want basic things like hard work and a good effort, good attitude, be appreciative, those kind of things. And then, let them also live their life and figure out where their place is and, kind of what God intended for them.
So Brooks, on that note, I kind of thought you were, I've talked to your dad. I said, man, center field. You run like a deer. You fast. You track things down. You have good anticipation. You're a pretty big catcher. You're going to probably end up 6'3", 6'4". There aren't that many guys that are 6'4" behind the plate that are tall and lean and everything. But it doesn't mean that you can't be a catcher, obviously, because you have a great arm. But have you not thought about maybe testing the waters in the outfield?
The last few years, I haven't really thought about it. I've always wanted catcher. I've always loved it. The one other spot I want to play is shortstop.
Okay, well that's true.
That's a lot of. I played that a few times and a lot of fun.
No, I can see that with your arm in the hole. That's true too. It would make a great shortstop. Mark Belanger, you can Google him later. You don't know who he is, but he was kind of built like you are. He played for the Baltimore Orioles in a couple World Series, and he was a very tall, lanky shortstop and had a very, very good baseball career. Well, guys, in our last few minutes, right now, what's the outlook for the rest of this year as far as your training goes, as far as baseball? Because I know the one tough thing is the junior highs don't have baseball, but they still have baseball in the city, correct? And a team that you can play on, right?
Right now, me and my dad are talking about me going up there and working with him, with his guys and his team, and over weekends just go and play tournaments with teams that need just players.
And I know that this spring, I'm looking forward to baseball season. It's going to be our program is immensely improved through your dad's work, and I think a very good team this year. It's going to be some excitement up there. I know you guys are looking forward to being up there, aren't you, Shay?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're a big fan of baseball, and Brooks, you love being up there too.
Definitely.
And they're going to be opening up in February, And you can go online and get a baseball schedule. Go to the Sierra Coastal Athletics site and check in. I think it's a lot of fun to go up the hill. It's a great place to watch baseball, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah, it's beautiful field.
Because you're up on a hill, and especially when there's a night game, as the lights come on, it's very beautiful. So, guys, appreciate you stopping by. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right, Shay Scott and Brooke Scott, and I'm Tom Heck, and hope you've enjoyed our night of community sports. This has been RIdgecrest Talk right here on KZGN.